Thank you, Spencer, for inviting me to your roof terrace.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
So today we are going to speak about skiing. Where are you from?
I'm from Colorado, which is in America, specifically Denver, Colorado, which is right on the Front Range, which is where we describe the beginning of the mountains. So it's the plains, and then you start up at the mountains, and we call it the Front Range.
And what is the difference between skiing on the West Coast, where Colorado is, Utah, California, maybe Lake Tahoe, and skiing on the East Coast, so some other places,
The Vermont and Connecticut area. So the East Coast is known for having really icy terrain, and they don't have as big of mountains as we do in the West, and so they're gonna have crunchier, icier snow, and they're gonna have less steep mountains. So I'm from the West Coast, so obviously I have a bias towards the West Coast.
There's powder.
On the West Coast we have powder, we have bigger mountains, we have more terrain, but we also have more crowds. So you kind of get that with the better terrain and the bigger mountains, but we have powder.
Okay, there's something that I remember skiing on the West Coast. There were lots of moguls, what we call moguls.
Yep.
Do you still have them?
Yes.
And do you use them? That's good. You like moguls or you don't?
I like moguls, but a lot of people don't. So when they don't groom a trail very much,
With the snowcat.
With the snowcats, yeah, that's how they develop moguls.
Okay.
I kind of think is like an added challenge. It's exhausting and it's a lot of work. I think it's really fun, but I understand it when people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it.
Here we don't see them so much in Europe. And what else is a little different? The trees. I was told that, I don't know how high can you go in the States, but I think there are trees at a higher altitude or lower altitude compared to Europe. I don't know which.
So generally in the States, we have most of a ski resort will be below the tree line. So there'll be trees almost everywhere. And then the really high alpine resorts, you will go above the tree line, and we call that bowl skiing. So it'll be big, wide open bowls. If you think of like a bowl that you eat your food out of, it'll be like skiing on that big face, really wide open. That's high alpine, high elevation or altitude.
Okay, so some of the words we just encountered are the face of the mountain.
Yes.
The bowls.
Yeah, like a bowl.
Moguls. And now tell me, what were some of the other topics we wanted to touch on?
Yeah, so we're talking about Sofia Goggia, the Italian skier. I know about her in the States. She's very famous, and she has such an incredible story. And we recently got to meet her, which was really awesome.
Yes.
So, shout out Sofia Goggia.
Yay, Sofia.
But yeah, she has an incredible story, and she skis Super G, I'm pretty sure, which is a kind of style of giant slalom, which is where you're doing massive turns across the entire face of the mountain. Really fast. She goes way faster.
Let's talk about skis.
Okay.
So, and also the style of skiing. So in the past, we used to want the skis together, and you had to ski. You were a good skier when you could ski Vadel. What was the word? Vadel. There's a word where you'd ski, keeping your skis together. And I have to look it up. I can't remember the word, but that's what you strived for. And now last I heard, skiers had to keep their skis apart, so they were wider, and they would ski, and that was the good way to ski. What are they doing in the States?
In the States, a lot of people, so there's a lot of people call it a homegrown style. Homegrown meaning that you don't have any formal training of any kind. You kind of just learn yourself, and so it would be less than what would be like the textbook, like perfect methodology. So we call it homegrown. And then here's some skier like slang term. It's called steez, S-T-E-E-Z.
Okay. Zed, if you're British.
That describes looking really cool when you're doing what you're doing, and mainly like a nonchalant. So if you do the coolest thing you've ever seen on skis, but you're like, oh, it was no big deal, oh, whatever, and you look really cool while you're doing it, that's called steez. Like that skier has a lot of steez. He has a steezy style, you could say.
Great. It's new for me.
Yeah.
Nice. That's age, who would use it? What age group?
Young.
From?
It would be mainly Gen Z, maybe millennials, but yeah, like younger skiers really young skiers
And
until
what are some
maybe
other
25.
words? Because there were a few.
Yeah, so I'll give you two, and then into one saying that we use. So as I said, in the West Coast we have a lot of powder, so we'll just shorten that to POW. PAW, just POW.
PAW, not even POW.
Or POW,
Okay,
rather.
POW.
POW, POW. And then shred, which shredding would be like to ski something really well, really like, you have a lot of stees, you ski it really well, you look really cool while you're doing it. And then we'll put those together into shred the POW. And that'll be like a saying, like, oh, we're gonna go shred some POW, we're gonna go shred the POW. And that just means you're gonna have a great day, like look at the conditions, it all looks great out there, you have a lot of powder, we're all ready to go.
Nice,
Yeah.
great. What do you call, so I brought my skis, which you were saying, wow, those look really old.
Yeah.
I guess they're kind of old, they're not that old. These are, in English we say?
We say cross-country skis
Okay.
for these. And so they're really unique. They're very
Is it
skinny.
popular? Is it common there?
Cross-country skiing, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
People do cross-country ski quite a bit, but they're very unique. So the skis that I use
For cross country?
for my mountain skis, I don't cross-country ski
Okay.
really, but I know people who do. They're very wide compared to those. So those are skinny. I
Okay.
mean, like,
Yeah, those should
very-
be. But what about the
and-
wide, our regular downhill skis? Are they now wide or
They're
short?
getting
long?
wider.
They're getting wider, and are they
people-
getting longer or shorter?
I think I prefer shorter, and I think people are going shorter because it's easier to turn and do
Yeah.
faster movements
I
in
think
short skis.
they were already pretty short. So how short would yours be?
So people
For you.
like to say the range is your nose to your chin
Okay.
is where it should be. I go closer to my chin, whereas
Okay.
before it would be like nose. Maybe
We used to have
eyebrows.
them up here.
Yeah.
Those were challenging skis, and we liked them.
Yeah, no,
like the
we've
challenge.
gotten shorter because you can do more movement and
Yes.
you can move around quicker and easier.
Okay.
And width, yeah, they're getting wider and wider and wider.
And what about on the East Coast? Is it the same? If
It would
you're
be the same. Maybe
Okay.
since they don't have as much powder, they would go skinnier because the wider skis help with powder because it helps you stay on top of them.
when you're skiing powder, you sit back.
You lean back, yep,
Yeah.
tips up, lean back. There was a famous American skier in the 90s and 80s named Shane McConkey who skied in California, and he was a really radical and like did all this crazy stuff, and he was a wild guy, and he kind of invented what we call the modern powder ski, the wide ski. And the way he did it was as a joke with his friends, he put ski bindings on water skis, which are like really wide,
Yes.
and then went around and skied the hardest terrain he could find.
he was able to do
in
it.
California, he did it on those big wide water skis, and it actually changed everything because then he was
Nice.
like, look at how much I can float on the powder
Great,
and stuff. Yeah.
fun.
So that was Shane
Yeah.
McConkey. He was a legend. Yeah.
Great. How many years ago was that? Do you
This was
think?
in the 90s when he was
Okay.
popular, and he died unfortunately doing a crazy skiing. He would ski off of cliffs and then parachute down.
Okay.
So he would ski off like a 1,000-foot cliff and then parachute all the way down.
And that's how it
And he
ended.
died doing that.
But he
yeah.
died, hopefully doing what he loved.
Oh yeah, that's what everyone said.
Okay.
But yeah, he was a legend.
Okay. Let me just see if there's something here for our ski. So we have. This is the same, and I think most Italians know what this is.
Yep, that would be your helmet.
Helmet, whether it's for a scooter, a motorbike, or a bicycle, or skiing.
Ski helmets are generally a little different because they have more insulation, which would keep you warm.
Okay. Yes. Okay. These are ski boots, and these
Yep.
are
Those are your straps here, and then
thumb
the
straps.
the bindings
Buckles,
into the boot
no
there.
bindings.
Bindings, buckles. Yeah, we call these
Okay.
your straps or your bindings.
Okay. And then we have this, which everyone knows, I think. These,
Your goggles.
yeah, goggles. And if they're yellow, they're for,
They're for low light.
okay.
So,
and if there's a lot of light, you wear darker.
you wear darker to help polarize. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have these.
Those are your gloves. We have two kinds of gloves. We have your gloves like this, which are fingered like
Okay.
this, and then mittens, which is just one big. You think of this? Then we have ones
Thumb
called-
and then all the fingers together.
Yeah, and then we have lobster ones now, which are getting popular, which is this finger and this are open, so you
Okay,
can go
these
like
three are
this,
closed.
and these three are closed. They're
Okay,
called
why?
lobster
What's the
gloves.
point? Because you can do certain things.
Because you have more. It's mainly for snowboarders. Because
Okay.
snowboarders have to buckle in and buckle out all the time, and when you're wearing mittens, it's hard because you don't have access to your fingers. So with the lobster gloves, you have access to your fingers to help get in and out of your bitings easier.
Great,
So those
great.
are getting really popular.
Okay. I have no idea. Let's see. So we've been. I want to talk about. Were there any other points that we wanted to cover that we had said we would cover?
Yeah, we were talking about. We talked about some slang and ski resorts, the ones that I like in America.
Yes.
So
Have you skied in most ski resorts?
I've skied a lot of ski resorts on the West Coast.
Okay,
I've
so
skied
by state, you've been
by
to
state and Colorado. I have skied. There's a lot. This is
Vail,
where I'm from.
Aspen.
Vail, Aspen, Breckenridge, Copper Mountain, Winter Park, Keystone, A Basin, Eldora, Steamboat,
Well done.
and Telluride.
Wow.
Those are the Colorado resorts I've
Okay.
skied.
Least expensive?
The least expensive is Arapahoe Basin, or we call it A Basin, or
Okay.
even shorter, A Bay.
Ebe.
And that is my favorite in Colorado. And it's
Nice.
the least expensive. It's only locals. Well, anyone can come, but it's
But
mainly
tends
locals.
to attract the locals.
And it's
until
really
now.
fun. Yeah, yeah. It's a really fun resort.
You
And
look
it's-
for him.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm
Spencer.
there all the time. Yeah.
Okay, and then most expensive, offers the most life around skiing. So there's skiing, and then there's après ski.
That would be Vail or Aspen.
Very expensive or reasonable,
There,
depends.
Aspen's very expensive. Vail is less expensive than Aspen, but Vail is really big. Vail is a huge ski resort. So there's so much to do there. You know, they have the Vail back bowls. That's what everyone knows, and they're.
And why do they call them back bowls? So bowls we know are up at the higher part of the mountain where there are no trees and it's
and
just
it's
smooth.
the big white face.
It's really nice.
And they call them the back bowls because you have to go way into the back of the mountain. Multiple chair lifts
Okay.
or gondolas to get to the
Yes,
back.
we call the funivia. I don't know. In Italian, it's funivia. It's gondola is the car, like the cable car.
Cable car. Yep.
So you can call it a cable car, or you can call it a gondola, which is not the gondola in Venice, but it's a cable car. And so they have.
In the Vail, you take that way to the back. Multiple
Okay.
rides to get to the back, and it's nice because not as many people go back there, so you're gonna have a better snow, better conditions, less people.
Okay, what do you call when you ski off the runs? Do you want me to hold this for a bit?
Sure.
What do you call when we ski off the runs? Or we call in the States we say runs, and British say pistes. And when you ski off piste, do you say off piste or is
We
there
will
another?
say, like some people say off trail. That's a big East Coast one.
Okay.
Off trail.
Free ride? Do you say that? Free ride?
So we don't really say free ride, but I'm in the ski club at my university, and that's called the Free Ride Club.
And that's meaning
and
that
that
kind
we
of-
ski anywhere and we have fun. And it's like
But
free.
it's not the name of what, because here it's a type of skiing. It's going
Oh.
off it's where you can go off the runs, and there's lots of areas.
Interesting. Yeah, we do not call it. So we also have backcountry skiing, which is when you do, or some people call it there's another name for it. But yeah, backcountry skiing is when you are not at a ski resort. You go to just any mountain and you hike all the way up and ski down, and it'll be completely untouched. You're the only people out there.
Nice.
But it's
What
more
about
dangerous.
helicopter?
Heli skiing, helicopter skiing. Yes. So, me and my dad did some heli skiing in Telluride, Colorado, which is another great town, great ski resort, and it's really cool. So you get in your helicopter, and the skis for heli skiing, because you're way out, super deep powder. The skis are really wide, like
Okay.
2 or 3 of those backcountry skis wide,
Yes.
because there's so much powder.
Okay.
And we will, so we would go over, we'd see a face and a bull. That's usually bulls skiing there. And we'd see a face, and they would drop us off, and we'd walk back. We'd walk out of the helicopter, and they would be like, okay, we're going to pick you up down here. And they would fly the helicopter down there, and we'd ski down to the helicopter. They'd pick us up, and we'd go to a new face.
And what about avalanches? Are there periods of the year, or how do you
Yeah.
prepare?
So for avalanches, that's gonna be mainly backcountry skiing, and it's a lot in the spring. So there's a few things that if you're gonna be backcountry skiing that you have to have, and heli skiing, you have to have
A
a
tracker?
shovel, a tracker. Yes, we call those beacons.
Beacons, okay.
A shovel that'll usually fold up and be able to fit into your bag of some
Okay.
kind.
How do you know which
and-
way to dig? Up or down? Is there a trick?
There is a trick.
Is it
so
spitting?
it's spitting, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Or peeing. It depends on what you gotta do.
Where you have room.
So, yeah, the goal is you get your hands in front of your face if you're in an avalanche, and once you're in, you pat around so you have space, and then you spit. And that way, wherever the spit goes, you know is down, and then you can dig in the opposite direction. But if you have your beacon and you have your shovel, and everyone around you has their shovels, they'll be able to find you. And radios too, walkie-talkies, radios, so you can communicate, like, okay, I'm under the snow, I think I might be here, and they can communicate with you.
Do they ask if it's dark or if there's a little light?
Yeah, totally.
Because if it's totally dark, you could be way under.
They'll tell you, okay, I think we're digging near you, and you'd be, okay, I can hear you, or something like that.
Have you ever been in a situation with an avalanche, or do you know anyone who has ever been in an avalanche?
I have seen a few avalanches, and one was at Arapahoe Basin, my favorite ski resort. And I wasn't in it, but you could see him coming down the mountain, and it was pretty crazy. And
was it predictable? Like the people should not have been skiing where they were skiing?
Yes. So there's clear ways to know if there's going to be an avalanche. One is if it has not snowed very much and the sun's been out like today, and then it gets really cold and there's a lot of snow. And the reason why you know that that's avalanche material is because if there's not very much snow and it's really warm, and then it gets really cold, it'll freeze over, and then the new snow on top of it
So it's gonna slide
will
off.
be able to slide off. Yeah, so there will be high, and they'll send warnings out every day for backcountry skiers, high avalanche risk, low avalanche risk. So you always avoid the high risk days.
Sure.
And low risk days will be earlier in the ski season, in the early winter months. High risk is in the spring.
If it's a low risk, would you go early in the morning then skiing, or does it make a difference when in the day? Or do you know?
You would really just want to avoid it if maybe in the afternoon would be better, because if it's warmed up, then it could have some time to soften up the outer layer, and maybe it'll stick to it better.
Yeah, so it's better to avoid it.
It's just better to avoid it. Yep.
Let me think of some other. So you didn't mention Wyoming. Have you ever been skiing?
So yes, I have skied in Wyoming, and I skied in Jackson Hole Resort, which, if Arapahoe Basin is my favorite in Colorado, but my favorite ever in the entire world is Jackson Hole.
Yeah, I've heard Jackson Hole is
It's
top
amazing
for good skiers.
Yes, it's a difficult mountain, but if you are willing to challenge yourself, everybody can get challenged there.
Yes.
Even the best skiers in the world will find a way to be challenged at Jackson Hole.
Great.
It's an amazing resort. I go there for a week every single ski season. I ski 7 days in a row.
I've seen also. I've been there in the summer, and it's amazing because if you look in one direction, it seems like you're in one place. You turn around, and you're in another place.
Yeah.
And based on the light during the day. Again, the light will change, and it seems like you're in a new place just from the sunlight. It's beautiful.
It's amazing. And the Tetons, that's the mountain range that it's in. The Tetons are beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they just good. We call them the American Alps because they look a lot like they have the jagged peaks of the Alps kind of. But
have you been here during the winter?
I have not. No, I really want a chance to ski in the Alps. Ski in Italy.
So you guys have to write and tell us where he should be skiing.
Exactly. Yeah. Give me some recommendations in Europe. I would love to come out here and ski.
Yes. I mean, there are lots of places. Great skiing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over it. I like snowshoeing. So we say snowshoes. Or like cross country. I'm not good. I like that.
Yeah,
if you're not good, it's a great workout because you're struggling. Same for the snowshoes. I mean,
snowshoeing is great. Yeah, we have great snowshoeing in Colorado, and I'm sure here it's amazing too.
So snowshoes are the kinds that you would wear on the bottom of your feet, and they have what do you call them? The things that go into the ice.
Oh, like spikes.
Spikes.
Yep.
And if it's icy, otherwise it's just great exercise and a great way to get away from the crowds. So too many people, it's a way to be in a quiet area, safe, it can be challenging.
Oh yeah.
Depends on where you go.
And it's always fun when you go with somebody who goes a lot, and like you go more than I would. And you would probably be walking circles around me, and I would be huffing and puffing and all tired.
Maybe. I don't think so.
It's always fun going with people who go a lot because they know certain tricks and where to go and cool places to go.
Yes, and how to go down, how to go up, and and based on the conditions, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't think of. Let's see. So, I think we're going to end it about now because
Okay.
it's been 20 minutes and I think you have lots of vocabulary. So, in this conversation, we have highlighted some words that you will find in this course, which are just terms that you've heard Spencer use, and
Yeah.
he's using this language. He skis. He still skis.
Yeah.
He's there during the year, during the winter. It's current vocabulary, words being used now, and we've added a dialogue so you can practice with someone or a teacher. It could be a teacher or it could be another person. You just practice, and so we hope you enjoy this course, and specifically this one on skiing. We have others to choose from. You'll see. So this is the sports edition, and we will have more. So thank you, Spencer.
Yeah,
Thanks again for
absolutely.
inviting
Yeah,
me here.
absolutely. Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.